What if I told you it's not just burnout, it's the fact that you don't want to be a nurse anymore, but you haven't admitted it to yourself yet? I'm going to tell you something that nobody's going to tell you. The burnout that you feel is absolutely real. But even though burnout is real, it's being used to cover up something deeper. And we're going to talk about that in this video. If you're new here, my name is Mel. I'm a former nurse. I left nursing 5 years ago and I absolutely don't regret it. So this is such an important topic to talk about because you may have been dealing with burnout for years now, but you're not being told what it really means when you're burned out. When you've tried all the specialties, you tried the different things in nursing, and it's fine at first, but then you end up hitting a wall. You're not told why you've been trying different self-care practices. Maybe you've been trying to work out. Maybe you've been trying to soothe yourself and do different things, but nothing seems to be working for you. Most people don't know that burnout means that you're not aligned with whatever it is that you're doing. If you felt passionate, if you felt excited, if you felt genuinely happy to do something, you wouldn't keep hitting burnout. So there were several times throughout my nursing career where I kept hitting burnout, okay? Because of the pressure that comes with the job, because of short staffing, because I didn't have solid boundaries, especially not at work, because I wanted to be a good nurse. I wanted to get all the things done. I had trouble delegating, the list goes on, right? But even when I switched specialties from the ICU to med surge units to home health care to pharmaceutical companies to working at the prison, like I've worked in so many different specialties within nursing. At first, everything started out cool. At first we started out we're cool. But if you're somebody who hops to different specialties like me, trying to escape burnout, trying to find your thing, trying to find your niche or the thing that you feel passionate about. When I switched from specialty to specialty in hopes that it would fix my burnout, in hopes that I would feel better and I would feel happier about being a nurse, I felt cool at first, and then I eventually kept hitting burnout, the exhaustion, the irritability, the anger that I was holding inside of me because I was avoiding the truth, which was that I was no longer supposed to be in nursing. I just didn't want to be a nurse anymore. And with that came a bunch of things. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of not getting it right, fear of leaving nursing and not being able to replace your nursing income, fear of regretting the fact that you decided to leave nursing, fear of not knowing what other people will say or think about you wanting to leave nursing, especially the people closest to you who were proud of you for the fact that you became a nurse, right? When I first became a nurse, I was passionate about it. I was happy that I actually, followed through and I was able to become a nurse. But when I actually got in the role, when I actually started practicing and I was dealing with the exhaustion and all of the pressure that comes when you're a nurse, that only then did I learn that it just wasn't the best fit for me. And so many people feel this way, but they'll never admit it. They won't allow themselves to admit it. They won't allow themselves to say it out loud, even. And I used to be that person. I used to struggle with this. It took me 4 years before I confidently owned my decision to leave nursing. 4 years before I could openly just talk about it and help other nurses who are going through these experiences, who are feeling misunderstood, who are feeling like they have to pretend that they're okay when they're really not. The nurses who just don't feel like themselves anymore, or who don't even recognize themselves anymore. By the way, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because it's a whole community that we're building here for the nurse who wants to leave, but she needs that support to actually get to the next version of herself in her life. But I did a poll about like, what version of you do you miss before you became a nurse? And the people who voted said that they don't even remember who they were before the burnout. And that's sad. That's crazy. And I've been exactly in that spot. I thought that that's just what it was. That's just who I was. The irritable version of me, the version of me that was always mad, the version of me that was always, just annoyed, especially with the people that, like my family and the people that my loved ones. But it wasn't until after I really healed from the burnout, after I left nursing, After I removed myself from the thing that I felt misaligned with, which was the nursing profession, it was only after all of that and I really did the inner work. I really did the things that I needed to do to pour into myself, to heal, to learn how to set boundaries, to make sure I wasn't continuing to bring in all of those things that I picked up from nursing, all of the survival mode patterns, the people pleasing patterns. Like it was important for me to learn how to overcome those things. So I didn't bring them with me into my next career or my entrepreneurial journey. But so many nurses aren't taught this. I had to learn it the hard way. And that's why I help other nurses now who want to leave nursing, because it's a difference between a nurse who is just fed up and she decides to quit and just like, I'm done with this, I'm leaving. And she doesn't have things prepared properly. She doesn't have her mental, her emotional, her financial things in order. She didn't process, she didn't heal. She didn't heal from the burnout and make sure she doesn't keep repeating those same patterns and keep recreating the very thing that she's running from, the very thing she's tried to escape from. There's a difference between that nurse and the nurse who actually leaves nursing, doesn't regret it, feels confident enough to talk about it, confident enough to help other people through what it is that she went through, if that's something she wants to do, and just feeling at peace with the decision. And I know there's a stigma that comes with leaving nursing. And this, as I'm saying this, I get it. I get it. I get that we're so deeply conditioned as a society, especially as women, especially as caretakers, especially as nurses in healthcare, right? So deeply conditioned to the point that we feel bad for wanting to prioritize our mental health, our physical health, and really putting ourselves first, as opposed to suffering through something until retirement, until you in your 60s, and then finally getting to live after that. We've been so conditioned that we think it's normal to just suffer every single day, to not feel happy when you wake up in the morning, to dread the day before it even gets started. And I'm not saying this to like talk down on you or just speak like I'm on some pedestal or something like that, because I'm not. I've been through the same exact feelings, the same exact experiences. I used to dread waking up. I used to dread having to go to work, dread clocking in. I cried in my car before work. I've done it all and I've been there. And that's why I can speak about, that's why it's so important for me to speak about the difference between that life and the life that I live now, the life that you're actually happy to wake up to. So many people, as I look around, they're just going through the motions. They're just living a certain lifestyle or participating in certain careers or just doing things just to check off some checklists because that's what we're taught to do. We're taught to follow the blueprint of what we were told success should look like. We're taught to get the respectable career, the stable career, the career that you can grow in and yada yada yada. But when were we ever taught that we should actually love what we do and feel passionate about what we do? We weren't. Because then you would know that the burnout, the exhaustion, and all the things that you're feeling on a day-to-day basis ain't normal. You would start to question things sooner if you were taught that you should be happy about and feel passionate about what you do. Most people feel like, oh, it's just a job. Like I'm just doing this for money. And I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to put my head down. I'm just going to show up, do my job, even if I hate it, even if I'm literally falling apart inside, even if I feel terrible inside, I'm still going to show up for this job because I'm dedicated and I'm a team player and whatever reasons, right? But what about you? When do you really get to live your life? When do you really get to be the one that you take care of first? When do you really get to be the one that benefits from this life that you've been working so hard for? You've been working so hard for this life, but you can't even enjoy it. You've been working so hard for the people around you, but you can't even enjoy those people. So there's no stability in that. I know that we're taught that nursing is a stable career. Once you become a nurse, you have a nursing license, you can always get a job. And it's true. Nursing also has a super high rate of nurses who are leaving or plan to leave the profession. Some nurses get into it for the wrong reasons. Some nurses get into it because of the money. Some nurses get into it because somebody recommended it to them. That was my experience. I never said when I was younger, oh, I want to be a nurse. I used to want to be a pediatrician. But my guidance counselor recommended that I apply, passed with flying colors, got into the program, did all the things, passed my NCLEX on the first try. Like it was just a smooth breeze. And so I was like, okay, like I can do this. I remember the exact moment where I felt like nursing wouldn't be the best fit for me. And it was when I sat in the lecture hall in nursing school and the professor was talking about all the things that nurses would be responsible for. And I just remember feeling overwhelmed and feeling like I had no idea like nurses had to do all this. And nurses are, especially in the hospital, you are everything. You the therapist, the PT person, the family contact, you have to do so many different roles. But in that moment, I felt like it was too much. I felt like it wasn't the thing that was the most aligned for me, but I ignored it. I just kept going because I'm like, okay, I'm already in school. I need a career. I'm good at I'm getting good grades, yada, yada, yada. But what I didn't know is in that moment that I felt that, it was okay for me to walk away then. It was okay for me to walk away then, but I silenced it. I kept it in and I just kept going. I kept pouring into it and it didn't pour into me back. But it got to the point where I really, really wanted to become a nurse because once I set my mind on something, it's go time. Like once I set my mind on something, I get it done. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited. Like I used to dream about being a nurse, all the things, the recognition, the title, all the things that come when you're able to say that you're a nurse. But what I didn't know, what I didn't plan for, what a lot of nurses don't know and don't plan for is all the things that come when you become a nurse, like the pressure of the role itself, like the exhaustion, like the dread eventually, like hitting burnout, and really feeling misaligned with the way that you're showing up for work. And the way society is set up, like most of the time you spend is at work, especially if you work in 12-hour shifts. What? I don't even want to talk about if you work in 12-hour shifts because you have to wake up. I used to wake up at like 5 in the morning, get ready for work, peel myself out of bed, drive to work, cry in the car sometimes, clock in, pretend I'm fine, smile, act like everything's okay, be fake, work through the shift, try to get through the shift. And then at the end of the shift, you got to stay and report for that shift and all the things that happen throughout your shift. Then you got to drive home. And a lot of times you don't have the energy to do much. One of the nurses commented and said she used to get off at 4:30 in the afternoon and all she had energy for was just to go straight to bed. It would just be a trail of clothes from the bed, from the door to the bed. Like the exhaustion is real. I know that you're burned out, right? I know that you feel exhausted. I know that you feel bad for thinking about leaving nursing, or you feel like you're not cut out for it, or you feel like you're weak, or you feel like you're not strong enough, you're not compassionate enough, you're not enough just because you want to walk away, just because you secretly want out of nursing, just because you constantly think about quitting nursing. But your mind is just trying to trick you because your mind is so afraid of the unknown. It's so afraid of you leaving the thing that's draining you, the thing that's literally making you feel terrible inside because it's familiar with it. So it's grown comfortable in the discomfort, it's grown comfortable in the burnout. And it'll tell you all these little stories to try to get you to stay. Like, oh, I worked too hard for this, or I don't know what I would do, or I want to leave, but I have no idea where to start. And all these things that your mind says to try to trick you and get you to stay. Why? Because it associates you wanting to leave with danger, with threat, because you don't know what's on the other side of you leaving nursing. And what's on the other side, it's not scary. It's actually extremely freeing. There's peace on the other side. If you do the work, if you do the inner work, if you do what you need to do to make sure you're set up for success when you transition out of nursing. If you make sure that you do what you need to do to prepare mentally, physically, to prepare mentally, emotionally, and financially. So you're not out here regretting your decision to walk away from nursing. If you feel overworked in the current role that you're in and you switch to another specialty because you think, it'll make you feel better. That's what I did. I used to hop. Okay. Like I left. So I was quick to leave a job if I did, like if it was too much for me. If you find that you do that, right, and you feel much better in like a least stressful nursing position, then that's how you know that you're overworked. But if you've tried different things, like me, if you anything like me, you've tried all the different specialties, you try so many different things, even in the quote unquote less stressful nursing roles, you still ended up eventually hitting burnout. Then that's how you know that there is misalignment. Burnout from misalignment. The way that you're working, the way that you're showing up is not in alignment with who you are to your core and how you best move around in this world. It's not aligned with the type of life that you want. It's not aligned with the values that you have anymore. And that's okay. It's okay to want something different. It's okay to be scared to want something different, but to still make sure you do what you need to do in order to make that happen for yourself. That's the most important thing. And I get that it's scary. I get that it is I get that it would be hard to admit that you no longer want to do this. I get it. Like I've been through it. I've lived through it. I've lived through, you know, being afraid of being judged and misunderstood and just that lonely feeling of going through this by yourself. And once you finally like let yourself feel all those things and you face those things, only then can you come out on the other side as a better version of you, as a truer version of you, of a version of you who actually feels like herself again, a version of you who actually recognizes herself, a version of you who the people around you actually recognize. So when I mentioned that I used to think that my personality was the irritability and the anger and being upset and dreading my life, that wasn't the real version of me. That was just the version of me that was consumed by the burnout. But once you remove that variable, you get to see, you get to re-meet the parts of you that were buried underneath all that burnout. The parts of you that you haven't gotten in touch with in years. It was a woman that told me that medicine, like getting into medicine, made her boring. And I can definitely relate to that because all you have time to do is just barely fend for yourself and barely pour into yourself. And, so when you think about that version of you that used to be more playful and energetic and excited, like she feels so far away, so distant. But I just want to give you some encouragement. I want to give you a glimpse of hope because that version of you that you missed, that version of you that, this version of you now that you don't recognize anymore because it's consumed by the burnout, like you're able to step away from that. That doesn't have to be the end of your story. And there's so many things that you can do. You can use your skills that you picked up in nursing, the things that you're really good at, the things that you actually enjoy doing on a daily basis. You can use those things and either create a business or get into entrepreneurship in a way that allows you to really hone in on those things and to utilize those things. You can create your own path. You can get into another career if you want to, but it doesn't have to end here. It does not have to stop here. For me, leaving nursing was the beginning of me really finding myself, really figuring out who I was to my core, really getting in touch with that playful, silly, goofy, crazy version of me who gets the zoomies and who dances anywhere and yells and sings and plays and laughs and just is able to really be a kid again. Because we're taking life way too seriously nowadays. Like adulting, everybody says adulting is hard, and all you got to do is worry about bills and all of that. But you still have to make time to play, to tap into your inner child, to be a kid, because that's what keeps you youthful. That's what keeps life worth living. That's what keeps things fun and interesting. So if you have been going back and forth with yourself, constantly second guessing yourself on whether or not it's time for you to leave nursing, that in itself is extremely draining, extremely exhausting, frustrating even, because it adds to that mental and physical exhaustion that you already are feeling. So if you are ready to get some real clarity around if it's time for you to actually walk away from nursing and you want the answer for you, not just some generic answer, sign up for my masterclass. It's about 35 minutes and it's going to be the most honest conversation that you've had with yourself this month. But only sign up if you're ready to be honest, to really face what you've been feeling, and you're ready to admit and own where you stand. Because it took me 4 years of second guessing if I was doing the right thing or, just this back and forth. And this masterclass will eliminate years of you second guessing yourself, wondering if you should stay or you should go. It's called the Should I Stay or Should I Go masterclass. Once you sign up, it's going to be emailed to you right away so you can watch it. So that'll be below in the description. Just sit with what I said. Just really reflect on how you've been feeling, how you've been showing up versus how you actually want to feel, how you actually want to start showing up. The gap from where you are to where you really want to be, that version of yourself you want to step into. If you want help closing that gap and meeting that version of yourself who you miss, the version of yourself who you forgot existed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you sign up for that masterclass because that's your next step. And in the masterclass, I talk about a way to actually close that gap for you to get the emotional, mental, and financial preparation that you need in order to transition out of nursing into your new path. Let me know down below what resonated with you the most. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you got triggered over something I said, because when we get triggered, it's for a reason. When we get triggered, we need to face the thing that triggered us and see why we getting triggered and get down to the bottom of it. So let's talk about it.